Hi everyone, am I visible and am I audible properly? Yes, no, how are you guys doing? Hello, how are you all? Do you have any doubts in yesterday's class? Good evening everybody. Do you have any doubts from yesterday's class? Any specific questions that you want to ask? Or we are good? Yes. I'm great, thanks for asking. I'm really good. Thank you so much. I'm doing great. All clear? Nice. Yeah, so you have revised the notes and did you give the quiz? Did you guys give the quiz? Let me see who scored the highest in yesterday's quiz. Did you guys give the quiz yesterday, by the way? Yes. So, just a second. Let's see. How was the score and everything? Class number 1. Use stats. Nice, yeah. 211 students gave quiz. I'm so glad. Like 2020. Wow. More than 50 of you scored 20 out of 20. That's really, really good. More than 50 of you who wrote the test, you scored more than 50 scored 20 out of 20. That is really, really good. And so shall we start with today? Shall we start for today? Quizzes are posted in the lives in the website, right? And on siddhiprep.com/quizzes. There you have GS ASTRA series. I'll show you at the end of the class, don't worry. I'll show you at the end of the class, but you guys have done really well, right? This is a very good score in today's quiz. I'm so glad. Please keep writing the tests. Now we will start today's class. Right. So see, yesterday we were discussing about the basic terminologies with respect to microeconomics. Today we will talk about what are the factors of production, how does a market operate, and how does a consumer behave. As a consumer, when we buy certain things, how do we behave? When do we buy more number of things? When will the price increase? When will the price decrease? When are we happy? When are we sad? So we will discuss about the consumer behavioral analysis, and we will also talk about various factors of production in today's class. So before I proceed to factors of production, those who are aware of factors of production, can you please tell me what are the major factors of production? Thank you so much, by the way. Yeah, so what are the major factors of production? Land, labor. Okay, so to understand the factors of production, let us assume that we are establishing a company. Okay, for my fictitious purposes, I am going to go with the name that I am establishing a Foxconn data center. Foxconn data center, I want to establish my data center in the city of Hyderabad. Okay, in high-tech city in the city of Hyderabad, I want to establish a data center. In your point of view, to establish this data center, what do you think I need? What do I need? What are my requirements to establish this particular data center? Land, obviously. I need, let's say, from some maybe 50 acres of land or 100 acres of land. So my first factor is land. Along with the land, what kind of other things do I need? I need employees, right? I need someone who can work for me as employees, in which I need skilled employees, and I also need maintenance staff for the building. I need someone who will maintain the building, who will ensure that the building is clean, electricity is good, water is good, plumbing is good. I need someone who can handle all these things. So I need skilled and I need unskilled. So all in all, I can call them as labor. I have land, I have labor, but to establish everything, to start this data center, I need money. I need money, and I also need money. I need infrastructure. All these things I can call them as capital, right? You have all those things. You have land, you have labor, you have capital, but What is the other thing that you need? Mandatorily, what is the most important thing that you need? Someone who can handle all these things. You need some leadership, right person who can manage the resources, who can handle the problem of scarcity, who can ensure the efficient allocation of resources. You need someone. So that factor is called as entrepreneurship. So all in all, to produce something, we need four major things: land, labor, capital, organization. Organization is also called as entrepreneurship. So these are the four major factors of production. In the exam, they can simply ask you which of the following are the factors of production. That is one simple question that they can ask you. But apart from that, they can also ask you right, they can also ask you what is the advantage. For example, let us say I own the land, I am the landlord, I am giving my land to you to establish a data center. What will you give me? As a landlord, what will you give me? You have to pay me some money, right? I'm not going to give you my land for free. I can't allow you to use my land for free. So I definitely expect something in return from you, right? So what do I expect from you? Rent, very good. So land, you will pay rent. Next thing, let's say I have a skill. Okay, I am a very good software engineer. I can deploy the code and I can reboot servers. I can do whatever is necessary to run a data center. So I am giving you my services of my skill. So what do I get in return? What do I get in return? Wages, very good. Wages. Next, what about capital? Someone who is investing capital, what do they get? Someone who is investing capital, what do you get? Income, interest, very good, interest. And as an entrepreneur, because I take risk, I am investing money, I am taking risk of everything. Because of the risk, I do get my dividends or I do get profits, right? So these are called as factors of production and whatever we obtain in return for our factors. There are four major factors. Land will give you rent, and in land you have all sorts of natural resources. It could be land, it could be water, it could be air. Any sort of natural resources fall under the category of land. And then you have labor. Labor is human effort and return payment is wages. For capital, you get interest, and as an entrepreneur, you get profit. So when you have all these four things together, when you have land, labor, capital and organization, when all these four of them are together, then we can produce anything that is necessary in an economy. Now we will pick up each of them. We will talk about each of those elements. We will pick up each of those elements in detail and we will discuss whatever is needed for each of them. Now first thing that we have is land, right? What is the nature of land? What do you think is nature of land? What are the characteristics of land? Land is fixed. Land is fixed in supply. The amount of land, 3.28 million square kilometers of land, it is fixed. You can't increase the amount of land. Land is limited and land is not mobile. You can't move land. It is fixed and you can't move land. So because of this purpose, you can't increase the land. So as far as land is concerned, we need to ensure quality of land. We need to ensure that we improve the quality of land constantly so that our factor of production, that is land, is always good. And with respect to land, in the exam, they can ask you two different things. First thing that they can ask you with respect to land is Land Acquisition and Resettlement Rehabilitation Act. See, basically what happens is, in India, when you want to construct a project, let us say you are constructing a project, for example, let us go with Dholavaram project or Polavaram project or any other kind of a project. We will go with Polavaram project as an example. If you want to construct a project, when you are constructing a water project, then you need a lot of land to store water, right? There is a barricade that is filled, there is a barricade that is constructed, water comes in, water pools in, and you have to construct the project. So you need land. When you need land, you have to acquire land from people. You have to take land from local people. You need to take it by giving them money properly, and you need to ensure that their value associated with the land is respected. So with respect to land, in India, we have an act which determines how land is allocated for any kind of economic activity. That act is called as LARR Act. This was introduced in 2013. This can be asked in the exams. Land Acquisition, Rehabilitation and Resettlement Act of 2013. We will study about it now itself. Then within agriculture, those who are from agricultural background, try and tell me what is the most important problem that you face with respect to land. On a land in agriculture, what is the most important problem that you usually face? Irrigation? Anything else? What else do you face? What is the other problem that you face with respect to land? Scarce soil quality, very good. Power house, whoever it is, soil quality, very good. So in the next 10 minutes, we will study about two initiatives. See, I am integrating government schemes and government initiatives at every place possible so that it will be easy for you to understand why it is needed, what it is needed. So as far as land is concerned, now we will study what is soil health, how to maintain soil health, and we will also study about what is LARR Act, and after that we will proceed towards the next parts of the discussion. So the first discussion that we are doing here is soil health card. Government of India has a program, has a scheme called as soil health card scheme. Why do we need soil health card? See, basically for any parcel of land you take, you need three major fertilizers: NPK, nitrogen, phosphorus and potash. You need all these three kinds of fertilizers. Nitrogen, the most common form is urea. Potash, it is a DAP, and phosphorus, it is DAP, and for potash it is MOP. These are the three most common fertilizers. Ideally, for any land, the ratio of NPK has to be 4:2:1. But what latest economic survey says about this NPK ratio is, in India, this ratio is at around 10.8:8.6:1. See the kind of difference. In fact, in some states, especially in the states of North India, this is with respect to certain states of South India. In the regions of northern part of India, the ratio of NPK is around 20:5:1. See the kind of imbalance that is there with respect to fertilizers. There is a lot of imbalance that is there. We are applying more amount of nitrogen to the land, and we are reducing the other things such as phosphorus and potash. And when we do this, the quality of land reduces, acidity increases, productivity of land also decreases. So to counter all these things, Government of India came up with a card known as soil health card. The card is known as soil health card and the aim of soil health card is very simple. They will give you what is the quality of your land, and they will give you recommendations on what do you need for your land. This is called a soil health card, and this is given by Ministry of Agriculture and Farmer Welfare. This can be asked in your exams, and the validity of soil health card is for a period of 2 years. The validity of soil health card is for a period of 2 years. Now, next thing that we are going to talk here is LARR Act. What is LARR Act? As I told you, LARR is Land Acquisition, Resettlement and Rehabilitation. So this act talks about A for acquisition. How can you take the land? What is the procedure to acquire land from somebody? What are the rules that are to be followed? Who will approve? Who has to participate in the decisions? That is acquisition. Next is R stands for resettlement. See, you are an affected community. There is a developmental project. We will go with the same example of Polavaram project. You are in the downlying or low-lying areas with respect to the project. So government said, please come out of your place, we will give you money, you get up from the place and you give us the land. You agreed. Government gave you 50 lakh rupees, you vacated your land. But where will you go and stay? Who will show you the place to stay? How to ensure that you go to a new place? Who will show you a new place? So resettlement is about showing a new place for the same people whose land has been acquired. And the other R stands for rehabilitation, as in, see, let's say there are 300 villages who were asked to vacate. 300 village people said, okay, we will give our land. They took money, they agreed to move. Now government said, this is the 700 acre new land parcel, you can go and settle there. Resettlement is also completed. Then what is rehabilitation? Please understand, in these 300 villages, there could have been 5 hospitals, 3 schools, 4 temples, 3 masjids, 2 church. There could have been lot of things in these villages. But who will take care of all these new things in the new place? So that kind of a facilitation is called as a rehabilitation. So land acquisition, resettlement and no, you don't have to memorize all such data. You should be able to eliminate options. If you can understand the concept, what it is, and if you can eliminate the options, that is enough. I am explaining you so that you don't have to worry about it. So Land Acquisition, Resettlement, Rehabilitation Act, this act will determine how land is acquired, and this act falls under Ministry of Rural Development. This is the line that you have to remember. You need to know, in the exam they can ask you, which is the nodal ministry that takes care of land acquisition process in India. They will give you Ministry of Agriculture, Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment, and they could give you 2 other options also. The answer is Ministry of Rural Development. Rural Development Ministry takes care of land acquisition in India. And when you are acquiring a land for government projects, you don't need permission from the people. This can be asked in the exams. These 2 will not be asked, but they will ask you to come up with a government project. Do you need consent of the local population? For a completely government project, if it is a 100% government project, you don't have to take consent from the population, from the people, and the owner of the land will be given more than 4 times of the market price. More than 4 times of the market price will be given to the people, and they will conduct a survey which is known as Social Impact Assessment Survey. There is a specific reason why I have included this word in the slides. Ideally for SSC you don't need this, but I vividly remember in 2018 Tier 3 when there was essay, instead of social impact assessment they slightly changed the word and they gave environmental impact assessment. And there are so many people, more than, every 7 out of 10 people wrote what is environment for this particular topic. So I just wanted to share that anecdote. So I have included the topic of social or environmental impact assessment. When you see such terminologies, if you can write the right kind of essay, they can ask you in ACIO exams also. If you are giving in the future, they will ask you in such exams, and if you can give the right kind of essay, then you will have more benefit. For example, for this 7 out of 10 people wrote all about everything that they know about environment. But the point is, environmental impact assessment or social impact assessment is basically a survey. They will conduct a survey before start of a project. They will conduct a survey and they will see who will get affected, how can they be affected, how to protect them, how to ensure that they don't lose anything. Such survey you call it as Social Impact Assessment Survey. And under the Act of LARR, social impact assessment is mandatory. So if you are taking land from anyone, you need to do the impact assessment. You need to study impact assessment. You have to come up with a detailed report saying, look, these are the sections of people, these are going to get affected, and this is the loss that they are going to incur, and this is how we are resettling them. So this is called a social impact assessment. This is all about land that we had studied till now. Now the next thing that we want to study is labor. With respect to labor, there are 2 kinds of labor. One is skilled labor, the other is unskilled labor. Skilled labor, obviously those who are technical professionals, etc. You call them as skilled labor, or you can also call them as white collar persons or white collared professionals. The other section is unskilled labor, who involve in, yes, they have to pay 4 times. Right. Now the next category is unskilled labor. Just a moment. Right. So the next category is unskilled laborers, and unskilled labor, the word that they can use, or the word that we use to determine about, to talk about unskilled labor, is blue collar jobs. This word can be asked in the exams. Blue collar labor, white collar jobs. White collar is used for skilled and blue collar is used for unskilled labor. And along with that, there could be one more word that they can ask you, which is gig workers. Gig workers refers to all those people who are freelancers. Rapido wala, Zepto, Blinkit, right? Or Uber, anybody who is doing such kind of freelance activity kind of a thing. All those group of people, Ola, Uber, Rapido, Zepto, Blinkit, Instamart, Swiggy, Zomato, all these people are called as gig workers. So these 3 are the terminologies they can ask you: blue collar, white collar and gig workers. So these are the 3 types of labor that we have, right? And next, the most important thing is capital. As far as capital is concerned, there are 2 types of capital. One is fixed capital, and the other thing is working capital. Right. One is fixed capital, the other is working capital. What is fixed capital? Can you tell me? Can you try and come up with, based on the word, based on the meaning, can you give me an example for what is fixed capital? Land acquisition is done by Ministry of Rural Development, and after that the urban project will be conducted by whatever ministry is doing it. Usually it is done by state governments. Fixed capital is investment, anything that you cannot move. Land, buildings, machinery kind of a thing, all those are fixed capital. And working capital, your running cash, all those kind of things. Infrastructure, very good. Any kind of machines, yes. So all those are called as fixed capital. So in the exam they can give you which of the following are a fixed capital, and they'll give you 4 options and they will ask you to pick up which is a fixed capital. They can ask you such kind of questions. So this is about capital. And final and the most important thing that can bring all the other 3 factors of production together, that is called as entrepreneurship. Now my question to you is, tell me any one scheme that promotes entrepreneurship, especially in MSME sector. Can you tell me in the name of any one scheme that is there to promote entrepreneurship, to provide capital, to encourage entrepreneurship? Can you give me any one scheme name, please? Startup India, smart. Swanidhi, very good. Mudra Yojana, right. I wanted to talk to you about Mudra Yojana. So under Mudra Yojana, so basically Mudra Yojana is where Government of India wants to give loans. Mudra Yojana was asked multiple times in 2025. In multiple situations, Mudra Yojana was asked, and there are highly likely chances that they can ask you Mudra Yojana even in 2026 also. So under Mudra Yojana, there are 3 major types of loans that are granted. First loan is Sishu loan, the other is Kishore loan, the other is Taruni loan or Tarun loan or Taruni loan. So Sishu loan is up to 50,000 rupees. 50,000 rupees, this is granted to new businesses. Next is Kishore loan, this is 50,000 to 5 lakh rupees. And the final type of loan is Tarun loan. Tarun loan is 5 lakh to 10 lakh rupees. Please remember this. This is pretty important. They can ask you this particular question. This is Pradhan Mantri Mudra Yojana. This was launched in 2015. So it's been 10 years. 10 years, whatever schemes have completed 10 years, they are asking those schemes. So the chances of asking questions on Mudra Yojana is much higher. Yes, Taruni Plus is a new addition that is there, Taruni Plus or Tarun Plus. The point is once you repay, if you take loan under Tarun category, Tarun Plus is if you take loan under Tarun category and if you pay back promptly, if you repay promptly, then they will give you loan up to 20 lakh rupees. That is Tarun Plus. Tarun Plus is a new addition that happened under, yes, 20 lakh rupees. Yes, yes, yes. So these are various schemes, various discussions about entrepreneurship. This is the whole discussion on factors of production. Now, we will talk about what are the types of economic systems, economic philosophies or market philosophies before we start with the consumer behavioral analysis. Consumer behavioral analysis is about understanding what is utility, marginal utility, demand, supply, demand curve, supply curve, etc. But before that, let us spend 5 to 10 minutes in understanding what is the market philosophy. Especially we will talk about the invisible hand concept of Adam Smith, and we will also take a look at laissez-faire system. So under market philosophies, we will talk about invisible hand. Whenever you see invisible hand, you need to associate invisible hand with Adam Smith. Adam Smith is the economist who is known for, who is associated with invisible hand. And the other kind of system that you have is laissez-faire system. Let us take a look at both the systems and let us understand what they are. The first thing is invisible hand system of Adam Smith. What invisible hand system says is basically there are 5 people. Let's say, let us consider a small economic setup. There is a company and there are 5 different people who are involved, who work for the company. Company pays these people money. Company gives them salary. They use this salary, they buy various things, and once they are buying these things, understanding what they want, company will increase its production. Seeing what company does, it will require more people, it will provide employment. So in that manner, market will drive economy completely. Invisible hand theory says market force has an invisible hand. It will do whatever corrections are needed. Let's say if there is a demand for a particular good, if the demand is very high, then market will ensure that prices are increased, so that once prices increase, then you can increase the production also. So what invisible hand says is very simple. Everything is market oriented, everything is market dependent, market can correct anything and everything. So this is called as invisible hand. So what invisible hand says is every individual works for his own profit. Everyone wants to work for his own profit. So in a free market, all things, everything is determined with the help of competition, supply, demand, and because of the self-interest. So when this kind of scenario is there, individuals will automatically work for themselves. Then everybody is working for their best. Society will collectively progress. Society will benefit in common. That is invisible hand theory, or that is the proposal of Adam Smith. So Adam Smith says invisible hand will determine everything and as everybody, see there are 5 people, I. This fellow wants best, this wants best, when everybody wants best, society will automatically grow. This is the proposal of Adam Smith. So what Adam Smith says is, because everybody, any individual has their own interests, any individual has their own growth requirements, growth related ambitions, society will grow collectively. But what do you think could be the most important, or what do you think is the biggest flaw in the concept of invisible hand theory? What do you think is the major flaw with respect to Adam Smith's proposal of invisible hand? Capitalism, okay. Capitalism, Adam Smith forgets about one thing consistently. What is that one thing? Welfare, very good. So see, when I am talking about everyone wants best interest, let us consider this fellow is a gangster. This fellow sells drugs. Okay. And this fellow prints, let's say, fake currency. And this fellow is a calm, docile person. Can these 5 people live together with a common interest? Can they grow together with a common interest? So every time it is not possible for invisible hand to work because interests of the people are different. It is not guaranteed that everybody will think in a positive manner, everybody will work with moral ethical code of conduct. That is where invisible hand theory exactly fails. Invisible hand theory fails, and it clearly says that you can't provide welfare, etc. So the next terminology that we have to talk about is laissez-faire system. Now that invisible hand theory has failed, we clearly know we want some person who can control everybody. There are 5 people, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There are 5 people. If you can have one person who can control all the 5, who will decide, look, whatever you are doing is wrong. You are selling drugs is harmful to the other 5, so I will put you in jail. You want somebody who can tell this kind of a thing in the society. So the controller of the society, the upholder of rule of law is called as government. Now the question is, to what extent can government involve? Should it involve to the maximum? If it involves to the maximum, then it becomes a state control on everything. To what extent has to involve? So the philosophy that says the involvement of government has to be minimal. Government involvement has to be low. Government involvement has to be minimal. It is just like the government has to involve only to the extent where it is mandatory. Such kind of a philosophy, we call it as laissez-faire system. So laissez-faire system is also a part of Keynesian theories, and laissez-faire system says government has to be there, but government's involvement should be very minimal. Yes, you should not go beyond rules and you should have only minimal involvement. This is called as laissez-faire system, where you have minimal government intervention. If something is necessary, then government will involve. Government will work on innovation. Government will work on R&D. For example, recently AI Impact Summit was held. A lot of people came, a lot of initiatives with respect to AI were launched. So government is providing the facility. Government is acting as an enabling factor to create a positive environment that is necessary so that AI based economy will grow. But tomorrow government will not come and say you should do only this AI, right? So that is called as laissez-faire system. Laissez-faire system is all about minimal government involvement, whereas invisible hand theory says market can control everything and anything. So I hope after this long discussion you need not, or you will not make any mistake when there is a question on what is laissez-faire system, what is invisible hand theory, right? This is clear? So government role has to be minimal, or what is the extent, it will determine the type of economic activity, and such economy you call it as mixed economic setup, right? So this is mixed economic setup where government will involve. Where do government involve? Government will involve in R&D, infrastructure, roads, health, public goods, bringing people, or investing on the initial setup. In that scenarios, government will involve. The rest of the things, it is taken care by the market. So it is basically, it is all about minimum government and maximum governance. Laissez-faire system is all about minimum government and maximum governance. So this is clear, right? If this is clear, then we will proceed towards consumer behavior analysis. You have any questions till now? Are we good? Clear? Nice. Alright. So now we will proceed towards the next part of the discussion. We will talk about consumer behavior. What does a consumer do? What is needed? See, anything, let's say we are eating, let's say you want to eat something, okay, you want to eat, let's say, let's go with ice cream, you want to eat an ice cream. Now, when you are eating an ice cream, why do you eat ice cream, or why do you want to do something? Why do you want to do something? It could be writing exams. Of course, exams is for a job, which is for money. Keeping that aside, well, let's say you want to go for a run. You want to eat something. Why do you want to do all those kind of things? Why do you want to do all those things? Satisfaction. Very good. Who is that? Martins. Right. Satisfaction, happiness. In economic terminologies, satisfaction that you derive when you do something is called as utility. Utility is considered as a satisfaction that you derive when you do something. You are eating an ice cream, you derive some satisfaction. Or when I am teaching a class, I have some satisfaction. So this is called as utility. And in economics, as long as we are discussing something, utility is measured in terms of utils. Utility is measured in terms of utils, right? So this is called as utility, and utility is all about satisfaction. Now the next thing that we have to understand is the words such as total utility and marginal utility. Now I'll write a small example. Please reach out on the WhatsApp. Let's not get disturbed right now. Now, what is marginal utility? For this, I'll write a small example in terms of numbers and I'll help you understand, right? Let's say we are going with eating ice creams. We went out on a morning, you wanted to eat ice creams, okay, or for that matter, last night we went for an early morning breakfast, okay. In Hyderabad, you have a place called as, very good place called as Nayab Hotel, where you get early morning non-veg breakfast and all. So yesterday early morning we went there, we wanted to eat something, so we went there at like 3:33 in the morning and we went for a breakfast. Now let's say I went for the breakfast and I started eating, and let us assume that we started ordering some rotis and we wanted to eat those rotis. Now I badly wanted to go there and I badly wanted to eat there during Ramzan because you have certain specials over there. So when you start going there, when you go there, when I place my order and when I eat my first roti with, let us say, some curry. First roti when I eat, I have 100 utils of satisfaction. Let us assume I can have 100 utils of satisfaction. Let us assume that way. Now after that, after one roti, I wanted to eat the second one. I was okay, I was happy with first, I wanted to eat the second one. I ate the second roti and I'm more happy, I have further extra amount of happiness. Let's say this, I went on to get 120 utils of satisfaction. Third roti is also fine. By the time we reached third roti, let's say we changed the curry. Let's say we first and second we went with chicken, third we went with mutton, let us assume. So when you, yeah. So by third roti, let's say we went with mutton. So my satisfaction levels have increased and now my satisfaction went up to 150 utils. Fourth as well, let us assume my satisfaction has continued to increase up to, let's say, 190 utils. Now, these 4 rotis, I am okay, I am satisfied. But still, because of the people that are there around me, they wanted to try something else, we kept on ordering. But by the time I reach a 5th roti, my satisfaction will reduce, right? It will come down to probably 170. By 6th roti, when I eat 6th roti, my satisfaction comes down to 150 utils. And when I keep eating, when I keep increasing my number of rotis, my satisfaction keeps coming down. Of course, with respect to food, that never happens to me. That's a different case scenario, but yes, this is how it is supposed to happen. But once we go to a hotel, we change our order and this kind of a scenario never happens. That is a different thing. So basically, as you keep on increasing your consumption, your utility will increase further. What happens is, as you eat more, as you start consuming more, your utility increases till a particular point, and after that, your utility will start decreasing. Your utility will increase, your total utility, this is called as total utility curve. Your total utility increases till a point and then it starts decreasing. This is the first thing that we need to understand. Total utility always increases and then decreases. This is called as total utility. Now, what is marginal utility? Marginal utility refers to the extra satisfaction that I obtain when I am eating, when I am consuming the next product. For example, with respect to the earlier discussion that we were talking about, for example, let us say first one I got 10 utils of satisfaction. Second one I get 20 utils of satisfaction. Third one I got 27 utils of satisfaction. Fourth, I obtained, let's say, 32 utils of satisfaction, and by fifth one I obtained only 28 utils of satisfaction. So what is marginal utility? Marginal utility is the extra satisfaction that you get after consuming one more product. First versus second, what is the extra that is there here? Extra is 10. This is called as marginal utility. What is extra here? Extra is 7. This is again marginal utility. Extra here is 5. This is marginal utility. Extra here is 4. This is marginal utility. So marginal utility refers to the extra amount of satisfaction, the extra satisfaction that you get when you consume a new product. This is called as a marginal utility or additional satisfaction, and always marginal utility is a downward sloping line. Marginal utility keeps on decreasing. This is economic principle. Again, there are always exceptions. This is the law that is given, and the law is called as law of diminishing marginal utility. So what diminishing marginal utility says is marginal utility keeps on decreasing as long as you increase your consumption, as you start consuming more, marginal utility keeps on decreasing. This is called as law of diminishing marginal utility, and this is how we draw the line. This is total utility and this is, let's say, marginal utility. Marginal utility is a downward sloping line. Marginal utility constantly decreases, total utility increases and decreases. This is the concept of law of diminishing marginal utility. But of course, there are a lot of exceptions to this. Ideally, this doesn't happen in majority of the cases, but still in the exam, they will ask you questions on this. So are you guys clear about what is total utility, what is marginal utility, and what is law of diminishing marginal utility? Are we clear on this? Akshay, hi, how are you? Yes? Right. So this is law of diminishing marginal utility, and this is the graph that looks like. This is total utility and this is marginal utility. Marginal utility constantly decreases. Now there is one more graph that they can ask you. The graph is called as indifference graph. In the exam, at maximum they can ask you what is the line. Okay, beyond that they won't ask you. So before I tell you what is indifference curve, tell me what is English meaning of indifference? What is the English meaning of indifference? What is stoic? What is stoic? No change, without difference, indifferent to pain or pleasure. So indifference curve talks about the combination of goods. For example, let us say we were talking about the early morning non-veg breakfast example, right? So let us say we have two different options over there. One option is bheja fry or bheja curry. One option is bheja fry. The other is paya. These are the two different curries that you have. Now, there are two different examples, let us see. One is 1 plate of bheja fry and 2 plates of paya curry. This is one option. The other option is 2 plates bheja fry and 1 plate roti with paya curry. These are the two options. Now, if you ask me, I will say, it really doesn't matter to me what is it. First plate is also fine. Second plate is also fine. Either or is okay. 1 scoop of Belgium dark chocolate and 1 scoop of, let's say, honey and almond, it doesn't really matter to me. Such combination where the combination does not make any kind of impact. The combination should not make any kind of impact and it should give equal amount of satisfaction. That curve is called as indifference curve. So indifference curve talks about all those goods. Let's say this line is about the first combination, the next line, this line is about next combination, next line, one more line, this line is about other combination, one more line, this line is about other combination. So all those kind of goods, all those kind of combinations where I don't have any difference with respect to satisfaction. The first one is also okay. Let's say this is 2 ice creams and 1 roti. This is 1 gulab jamun, 1 rasgulla and 2 ice creams. It doesn't really matter. The combination should not really impact your satisfaction. Such curve is called as indifference curve, and in the exam they can ask you what is the shape of the curve. If they ask you okay, so if they ask you what is the shape of indifference curve, the shape of indifference curve is convex in nature. The shape of indifference curve is convex in nature. It is convex in nature. This they can ask you within the exam, and they can also ask you what is the slope of the line. What is the slope of the line? The line is downward sloping line. So with respect to indifference curve, they can ask you what is indifference curve, what is the shape of the curve. These two things can be asked in the exam. Indifference curve talks about those combination of goods that give you equal levels of satisfaction, right? So this is about indifference curve, and this is utility, diminishing, marginal utility. Total utility increases and decreases, marginal utility is negative, and this is indifference curve. Curve where as you proceed farther away, your satisfaction keeps on increasing, but for on all those goods on the line, they have same amount of satisfaction. So this is called as indifference curve. So this is all about the discussion on utility. Now we will talk about the other part of consumer behavior analysis, where we will talk about demand and we will talk about supply, and we will combine the concepts of demand and supply. We will combine the concepts of demand and supply, and we will understand the overall behavior of a consumer. So first thing that we are going to talk about is demand. Please tell me what is demand. Let us forget for a while. Let us come back to the empty slide and let us talk here. Tell me, what is demand? What is demand? You want something. Want is demand. Want is demand. Demand, yes, need, necessity. So you want something, it is demand. Okay, now there are, let us say, there are only iPhone 17 Pro Max was released. Let's say iPhone 17 version was released and there are only 500 mobiles in the entire city. There are only 500 mobiles, but everybody wants their hands on the iPhone right after the release. So what would that release to that? What would that happen? It will obviously lead to black market, which means it leads to increase of prices, right? It's pretty simple, right? If there is more demand, if there is more amount of demand and the supply is same, supply doesn't matter, or the number of iPhones of the city is just 500, it is not increasing, then obviously as demand increases, this will lead to price increase, provided all the other factors remain the same. What if suddenly there are 1000 more iPhones that come into the city? Then obviously the black market will come down, the price will come back to normal, original price, right? So law of demand says the price of the good falls when what? When the price of the good falls, its quantity demanded increases. When the price rises, I think these guys have written in ulta, chhod do. When demand increases, this leads to increase in price. When demand increases, this leads to increase in price, provided, one word that is important is provided other factors remain constant. This word is important. See, with respect to demand, supply can determine. There are various other examples, various other things that can determine the demand. Let us go with an example. For example, let us say you have two things. One is Pepsi, the other is Coke. Earlier, Pepsi was for 15 rupees. Coke was also for 15 rupees. Pepsi was for 15 rupees. Coke was also for 15 rupees. Now suddenly, Pepsi price was increased to 20 rupees. Pepsi price was increased to 20 rupees. My question is, will this impact Coke? Will this impact Coke demand or not? Yes or no? Achha, whatever the wrote is correct, no problem. Yeah. It will impact Coke, right? So there are various factors. There could be multiple factors, but when all these factors are same, if demand increases, then price will increase. This is called as law of demand, and there is one specific word for this. In the exam in 2025 papers, the word was asked, and the word is Ceteris Paribus. The meaning of Ceteris Paribus is, provided all the other factors are constant, then if demand for a commodity increases, then automatically the price will increase. So that is called a Ceteris Paribus, and they asked in the exam what is the meaning of Ceteris Paribus. What is the meaning of Ceteris Paribus was actually asked in the exams, and this is about the demand curve. Now if I put this on a line, the line would look like this. I have quantity here and I have price here, and this is my demand curve. This is how I draw my demand line. This is called as demand curve or demand line. Demand curve has a negative slope. So in the exam they can ask you what is the slope of demand curve. They can ask you that kind of questions also, right? So this is about demand curve. Next thing that, yes, this is your demand curve. Prices and quantity, demand curve has got negative slope, and in the exam they will ask you what is the meaning of Ceteris Paribus. The meaning of Ceteris Paribus is when all the other factors are constant. What kind of factors? It could be income, it could be taste of a person, it could be price of any other related good, any kind of factors. As long as other factors are constant, Ceteris Paribus. In such a scenario, as price decreases, quantity increases, or as quantity demanded increases, price will increase. You can use any of the terminologies. As price will decrease, for example, let us say the cost of a pen was 500, then 10 people want it. Now you brought down the price to 100 rupees, then obviously 50 people would want it. This is called as law of demand, and this is demand curve. Now we need to discuss about what is the meaning of movement on a demand curve, what is the meaning of shift in demand curve. Now just a second. Yeah, demand is directly proportional to supply chain, and with respect to demand, production will also increase. Yes, see, the demand is definitely related to supply chain, but at this particular point we are considering supply has remained constant, right? Now what is the difference between movement versus shift in demand curve? See, this is the demand curve, quantity, price. This is price, this is quantity, and this is demand curve. The meaning of movement along the demand curve, movement on the curve is, earlier let us say quantity demanded is 50, just for a price of 100 rupees, I will use a better color. Okay, earlier for a price of, let us say, 500 rupees, quantity demanded was, let's say, 10 units. Over a period of time, what happened is price was brought down to 200 rupees, so quantity demanded increased to 50 units. This movement on the same line, because of the same factors, if we are playing on the same line, if we are moving on the same line, this is called as movement. This is called as movement along the demand curve. But there is one more word that is possible, that is shift of demand curve. The meaning of shift of demand curve is, earlier this is the demand curve, where in the earlier case scenario, let's say for 500 rupees, quantity demanded is only 10 units. This is original scenario. Now what happened is Prime Minister of India decided that chalo, I want to deposit 5 lakh rupees in everybody's bank account. This is the original scenario. This was a scenario that is there in the market at this point of time. Now out of nowhere, 8 p.m. News time or prime time, Prime Minister of India came onto camera and he said, for every Indian I am depositing 5 lakh rupees in your bank accounts. So obviously everybody now has got 5 lakh rupees. When everyone has 5 lakh rupees, then what happens to the demand? The demand curve will go there, because for the same 500 rupee price, now let's say for the same 500 rupee price, this time 40 people will ask for you. Yes or no? Do you agree with me on this? The line might seem slightly difficult, so I still want to wait here and I still want to ensure that you have a clarity on it. Is this clear? Did you understand my example? Income of the society has increased. So at the same price range, demand has increased. This is called as shift in demand curve. This is called a shift. When other factors change, when income levels change, when availability of different products change, when trend changes, when people's behavior change, for all those things demand will change, and that will result in shift with respect to demand curve. So this is the difference between movement along the demand curve and shift in the demand curve. So in the exam they can ask you, we have discussed in detail about movement. Right. In the exam they can ask you, what are the factors that will determine the shift in the demand curve? In the exam they can ask you, they can give you 4 different options and they will ask you which of the following are responsible for shift in the demand curve. One example that you can discuss is population. Let us say in 2015 this is the demand curve. In 2015 this is the demand curve for a price range of 500 rupees, quantity demanded is 10. This is in 2015. In 2025, population of the country has increased. Let's say it has increased by 20%, 30%. Because of the increase in population, you have more number of people. When there are more number of people, for the same 500 rupees, obviously, now more people will want the product. So when population increases, demand curve shifts outward. Where let's say there is COVID scenario, or let's say there is some disaster, natural disaster, or something happened and so many people died, then for the same price range, demand will come down. Do you agree with me on this? Do you agree with me on this? Population will impact will cause a shift with respect to demand curve. Yes, right. The other factor, let's say there is one more factor. Now let us consider what is trending with respect to costumes today here. The baggy bottoms, baggy trousers is trending, right? So let's say there is some trend going on. There is some trend going on. When trend is there, this is the demand curve. Even if the price is very high, let us say the price is at 5,000 rupees or 5 lakh rupees, even the price is high, demand is high. After 6 months, after 8 months, the trend is gone. There is a new trend, new change, new taste preference among people. Then obviously demand curve will come inside. Nobody will want to put 5,000 rupees on this. The demand will come down. So your taste preferences, population, quality of the good, all these things will matter. For example, let us take an example of let us take one more example. The example that we will take is, let us go with the example of bread. Let us go with the example of normal regular white bread that is there, which is full of maida, which is full of sugar, which is not healthy. Let us consider that example. And for my convenience of this example, I am considering bread as the inferior good. Now, earlier, let us say in the country, in India, let us consider India's per capita income was 5,000 rupees. When India's per capita income was 5,000 rupees, this is the demand for bread. But let us consider India's economy performed very well. India did so good that per capita income now became 20,000 rupees. When income increased, will the demand for that kind of inferior quality bread with maida, with sugar, will the demand be higher, or do you think people will start shifting to an option such as whole atta multi-grain bread? Do you think that will happen or not? Do you agree with me? Do you agree with me on this? Yes, multiple options, people will go for. No, see, I am just using random figures, bhai, right? So, there are chances where when income increases, there are chances where when income increases in a society, the demand for the good falls down. There are certain goods where income of the society increases, demand will fall down. For example, cars such as automobiles such as Swift, Wagoner. Earlier, there was a lot of demand for Wagoner. People were not concerned, people were not thinking about the safety of the automobile. So there was a lot of demand for Wagoner. But today, in 2026, people understand the safety requirements. People understand that you can't travel in a tin can. It could be your mistake, it could be someone else's mistake, but you will get crumbled ultimately. So as income levels of people increase, the demand for some goods fall down. Such goods are called as inferior goods. This definition is asked in the exam. This definition was asked in the exam. Which of the following is the definition for inferior goods? They asked the question on inferior goods. So inferior goods are those goods where as income levels of the economy increases, demand curve shifts inwards. So these are various these are various factors that will impact the demand. Your income levels, your taste, your preferences, population of the country. Yes, so population of the country, all these things will result in shift with respect to demand. Yes, now people are shifting towards Tata and all. Yes, yes, yes. Earlier they were not thinking of Tata and all. Now people are shifting towards better options such as Tata, etc. Right? So this is with respect to movement of demand curve, shift of demand curve. Movement is when you are going along the same line. You are moving on the same line. This is called as movement. Shift is when the whole demand changes because of various factors. For any kind of factors, if it changes, that is called as shift with respect to demand curve. Right? Now, the next topic that we have to talk here is, so we will conclude in the next 10 to 15 minutes. Please don't worry. Right. So the next topic that we are going to talk here is about elasticity of demand. What is elasticity of demand? Elasticity of demand is to what extent demand will change with respect to price. For example, let us take two commodities. Let us take two commodities A, B. With respect to A, when price is 500, quantity demanded was 10, but when price became 450, quantity demanded became 25. In second commodity, when price is 500, quantity demanded was 10, when price was made 450, quantity demanded was just 10.7. These are two different examples. In which case demand, the relation between price and demand was more responsive? There are two cases that I wrote on the board. In which case it is more responsive? Which case do you think it is more responsive? Can you give me one real-time example for this as well? Yes, case number A, it is more responsive. Yes, 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 you guys are right. For case number A, it is more responsive. Yes, absolutely. So, if, yes, so this product is considered to have more elasticity. If the response is more, you call it as a good with higher elasticity. So elasticity is where the extent of change that happens as demand changes. The extent of change that happens as demand changes you call it as elasticity after deduction of GST. Okay, fine. So that is called as elasticity, and there are various types of elasticities. First is elastic demand. Elastic demand is when quantity changes heavily. Quantity changes heavily. For example, let us say there is a luxury good. Okay, let's say for my standard or whatever I know, my luxury product is a Nike shoe. So for me, Nike or Puma is a luxury. Okay, this is luxury for me, so I'm going with that example. Someone who has Air Jordans as an example, you can go with that as an example. But for me, Nike and Puma itself is luxury for me. So when you pick up luxury goods, as price changes, the quantity demanded changes drastically. So such goods where you have elasticity more than 1, the change is more than 1, those goods you call them as elastic goods. If the change is less than 1, then you call it as inelastic demand. One classic example for that is petrol. In petrol, with respect to petrol, there is one most common famous statement or meme. No matter what the price of petrol is, I am going to get my bike filled only for 100 rupees of petrol. So irrespective of the price, what is a vendor change? You notice, man, what happened, bhai? Let us check. Just give me a minute. What happened? There is no notice on vendor change. No, the only notice that is there, last notice is about the postponement of GD constable exam. That is it. There is nothing like that, no? What vendor change is there? There is no notice on vendor change, right? Right. So petrol, the most common statement is, no matter what the price of petrol is, I am gonna get my bike filled only with 100 rupees of petrol. So petrol is yes, it's from a famous movie called as Jatiratnalu. If you have some amount of free time, irrespective of what language you are from, watch that movie. It's really interesting. So petrol is one such commodity where the change in demand is very less with respect to change in the price. Such goods are called as inelastic goods. Even for salt, salt is a basic necessity. So all kinds of necessities, the demand is inelastic in nature. For all kinds of luxuries, the demand is elastic in nature. Now I will write one example. You tell me whether the demand for that product is elastic or inelastic. Let us see how you have understood. I will write an example. Example is with respect to Pepsi and Coke. With respect to Pepsi and Coke, do you think these products, or for that matter, okay, we will go with Pepsi and Coke. With respect to these two products, do you think it has elastic demand or inelastic demand? If you can answer this, you can answer any question. In the exam, you can handle any kind of example. So please tell me, with respect to Pepsi and Coke, what do you think is the case? Elastic? Yes. Yes, they are elastic. Yes, very good. These are elastic because if you change the price of, or if you change the price of Pepsi, everybody will shift to Coke. These kind of goods are called as substitute goods. Right? These are called as substitute goods. So in the exam, they can ask you, for necessity goods, elasticity is less than 1. For substitute goods, for in luxurious goods, elasticity is more than 1. So these kind of statements can be asked in the exam where you have to handle it. Next is unitary inelastic. This is exactly proportional. So when it is equal to 1, you call it as unitary elastic demand. And finally, we have perfect inelastic and perfectly elastic, perfectly inelastic. Perfectly inelastic is where there is no change with respect to demand. This is quantity, this is price. No matter what the price is, quantity demanded will not change. There is no change with respect to quantity. That is called as perfectly inelastic demand. In real life example, you can't find any perfectly elastic or any perfectly inelastic. Perfectly elastic is where this is the scenario. With the slight change in the price, demand changes infinite. This is perfectly elastic demand, where the graph is parallel to x-axis, here it is parallel to y-axis. So these are the types of demand, perfectly elastic, and elastic relatively inelastic demand and all. So elastic demand where elasticity is more than one, price quantity, this is how the graph looks like. And inelastic, so perfectly elastic is, this is for luxury goods, this is also for those with substitute products, substitute goods. Inelasticity is usually for necessities. If it is equal to 1, you call it as unitary. Perfectly elastic, it's a straight line parallel to the x-axis, and inelastic, it is a line which is parallel to y-axis. These things can be asked in the exams, so you have to take care of these things. Now we'll do one thing, we will continue with the demand part in the next class. Okay, we will stop here. Law of demand, we will pause here. If you have any questions, I'll take exam. Yeah, iPhone probably, yes, you can take example under perfectly inelastic, I'll agree. So with respect to determinants of demand and what is demand supply equilibrium, we will continue with tomorrow's class. If you have any questions, you can ask now. Yes, yes. See, Veblen goods, the definitions, we will talk about it in tomorrow. We spoke about substitute goods. We spoke about necessity versus luxury. We will talk about what are Veblen goods, etc. in the next class. Right. So we will call it a day for today. See, yeah, you were asking about tests, right? So to write tests, it's pretty simple. Just a minute. To write tests, it's pretty simple. You have to go to Siddhi website where you can click on quizzes. Once you click on quizzes section, you have Astra series. Click on attempt now, and this is free test section, and you can write tests. Class 1, class 2, the tests are already posted. Pepsi, Coca-Cola example is simple. They are called as substitute goods. If the price of Pepsi is increased, you will stop consuming Pepsi and you will shift it to Coke because it's an alternative, right? So they are called as substitute goods. The last class PDF, you will find it in Brahmos batch number 2, where you have a folder called as GS ASTRA series. There you will find the notes. Thank you, Surya Teja. Thank you so much. Naman, thank you. Can I get 30 plus? See, I can assure all the new topics will be handled here, but we may not have enough time to handle topics such as history, geography and all. If time permits, if you get more time for the exam, then we will do marathons on those topics. But my priority is to complete new topics first. But to handle the topics of economic survey and budget, I thought, why not I talk about economics also here? Because economics is one subject where there is a lot of problem. So many people find difficulty with respect to economics. Bye Akshay, thank you. So I thought, why not take up the definitions of economics and why not talk about it? Yeah, I'm better here. I'm good. All right. Thank you so much, everybody. Bye bye. Have a good day. Right. Bye.